Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series and the Umbani Chronicles. I am joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adalithia, Elendil, and Almond Tree's Magic. And I believe, was it Elendil that had the sequel that's out now?
Yes.
Okay. And we are also joined by a special guest, Moneca Pinkett. She is one of the co-hosts of the Trekkie and Beyond podcast with Andrea, which you can also catch on Anchor and all the various places where you get podcasts. And today we are continuing our chat on Miss Marvel. We're going to be covering episode 4, Seeing Red, this week. So spoiler alerts if you have not at least watched up into that point of the series. Interesting so far. The end of episode 3, I think Nani suggests a trip to Karachi, and so that's where we begin this episode. They're on the plane. Moms is kind of fussing at Kamala because she's still grounded. It's just, to me, she calls for a truce because they're seeing their grandma, but this is like the weakest grounding I've ever seen. I don't know about how y'all feel about that.
It is. Okay, first of all, I have to say, because I did miss last week's episode, episode 3 was amazing in so many ways. I just have to say that because I missed it. I'm so sorry. I wish I was here to talk about that one. But for this one, so I have friends who are part of different like cultures that are similar to the Indian culture, and that's like not unheard of. It's like you're still in trouble, but we have to go visit the family and put on like a happy face for them. But when we come back, you're still in trouble. But like my mom is sick. She wants us to come visit. I can't tell you can't see your grandmother just in case before she passes away because you're grounded. But when we come back, you are still grounded for what you did. Yeah. So I thought it was like, oh, this is definitely okay. Family trumps you being in trouble, but you're still in trouble, just not right now.
Yeah. And we get to meet Sana, who's Nani. We find out that her name is Sana, and we meet 2 of her cousins at first, and this is kind of their way of giving us kind of a glimpse into the mother-daughter relationship between Maniba, I think is her name, Kamala's mom, and Sana, which I can't really speak to. Perhaps you guys can give more input into, because it seems like a really complicated situation between them, and it's been passed down, seems like, to Kamala and her mom have the same sort of rough start to things, I guess.
I think that's actually a typical mother-daughter thing, and there's highs and then there's lows, and it's a roller coaster ride of emotions, especially in the teen years.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. There is definitely, I always tell my brothers this, you cannot judge, my relationship with our mother in the way that you judge your relationship with our mother, because it's a whole different dynamic and there's a whole different set of rules for daughters than there are for sons. And so that is a very typical relationship. And then you have like the grandmother overriding the mother to the granddaughter. And it's like, where is this coming from? And it was one thing the show does really well is it showcases a family dynamic of like with a family of cult, like not to say other families don't have culture, but like of a like cultural rich family where like there are rules in place. And I found myself connecting with Kamala a lot as like the teen daughter. The shows how immature I am, to be like, just let her do this. Just understand she needs this moment to find herself. So yeah, this show's doing a great job in showcasing the family dynamics and like all the rules that happen between mother and daughter. And it's not just a simple, yes, mom, no, mom. Oh, I can't believe she said that. Like there's like, you believe they're mother and daughter watching the show. Like, I don't think they're actors in my mind right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I also like the cousins. And I think that shows another dynamic in which you have the cousins that you're nice and cordial to, but you don't really quite fit in, but you follow along to their cousins.
Yes.
They kind of abandon her though. It's just like
that's
we
what
see
cousins
them
do
briefly in the intro, and then we see them kind of doing the touristy thing with her, and then when she expresses wanting to go to the train station, they break off. So, all right, well, we'll meet you later, and they're gone. So it's kind of funny. It's like a misnomer. The mom thinks the entire time she's with the cousins when she in fact is not with the cousins like a lot of the time. The next scene that we come to, we get this little flat, I guess, while she's sleeping before they have the day out with the cousins, she has like a nightmare / fight scene flashback to where the clandestines attacked her at her brother's wedding. Uh, this is, to me, it's kind of typical Disney stuff because we get to revisit the fight scenes, which haven't been really the highlight of the show for me. It's been more about the familial stuff that we've discussed. With the other thing, the elements kind of mixed in with there of her being the superhero coming of age story. It's, to me, it's been more about the family stuff that's surrounding that holds it all together.
The note on the fight scenes, because I definitely agree with that. I definitely see that they're focusing more on the emotional aspect than the physical aspects in this episode. But I also want to say that I like that they are not making her like an instant expert in her new powers. Because I do see that in some shows where someone gets this magical power and they have that montage, which I thought was going to be like, I think episode 2, where her training and then she was going to automatically know how to do everything with her powers.
Yeah.
And so I liked that the reasoning, in my mind, the reason that we're not seeing a whole bunch of like intricate fight scenes is because she really doesn't know how to fight.
No.
And they're not giving her automatic, oh, you have the powers, you had your montage training scene, you know how to work everything, you can fight these 4 people. No, you can't. And I like that they're staying true to that. But I like how they're not just making it like they're dropping the ball on it. They're focusing more on family so that it doesn't seem like we're really missing something.
I also feel as though she's a true teenager, and like in the first edge, like maybe 14, 15, well, 15, I guess, and a half, because she's just starting to learn how to drive and to get her driver's ed test. But because she has the napping pillow, and they're not making her grow up too fast. I think that authenticity there is, I just like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree, Andrea. They're kind of easing her in. You can see her kind of learning new tricks as she goes, but she doesn't have the full kit off the top, which she gets the bangle, and all of a sudden she's just whooping everybody and doing all this amazing stuff. But they do kind of string along extra things that she adds to her bag as she gets in more fight scenes. It was a funny scene, I guess, where she wasn't supposed to wear jeans to this certain buffet, so they couldn't get in.
Tell her.
And she didn't know, so she had to sit outside, and she's eating spicy food that's a bit, you can tell she's highly Americanized. She's not used to the flavors out there in Pakistan. She's just like, how no one, it's like, maybe that's why you're too hot, is because you're wearing jeans. And she's like, no, it's not the temperature. No one told me this stuff was death. That was pretty funny. We see, like I said, the touristy stuff where the cousins are trying to tour her around, and then split at the train station. And I knew watching this episode that it was kind of setting up a conflict, because all of a sudden conspicuously there's nobody. First, when she walks to the train station, we see a lot of people around her going to and fro. Then all of a sudden there's like nobody, or nearly nobody, and then she looks at that little graffiti and there's a knife thrown at her, which is kind of funny. And then all of a sudden we get the Red Dagger, I guess.
Yeah, because did we ever learn his name, or does he just call him the Red Dagger?
He gets a nickname. His name's Kareem. He's got a nickname,
Chemo
or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, minced meat, and he's like, no, it's short for Kareem.
You're right. Yeah,
we do learn his name. But like I said, it seemed like a brief. Did you guys understand why all of a sudden she just dons the mask? Like out of the blue. She's train station, she just stops, puts the mask on.
It didn't make, I could sort of see why she was going to do it, because like she left the identity of Kamala and now she's trying to find out what's going on with her powers. I don't fully think she needed to put it on. I sort of got the reasoning why, because she was transitioning from tourist to investigator. Okay. And like she was donning different hats, but it still sort of did seem a little out of place and sort of forced at the same time.
Not to mention that he could tell where she was from by the t-shirt she had on. So it didn't cover the mask, didn't cover the t-shirt. She's like, how do you know I'm not Canadian? Like, you got to welcome to Jersey. Sure.
New Jersey Avengers. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting scene with her and him when they kind of introduce each other. their intro to each other and our intro to this Red Dagger group. But I do say if he was so suspicious at first, he's a bit too trusting, like really quickly.
Because just finding out that she's not one of the clandestines doesn't mean that she's not evil.
Yeah.
I think she's too trusting of them.
Oh, she's very too trusting
both
too.
ways. Yeah, she's eating everybody's food. You mean just, here, take this soup out of a bag. She's too trusting. He's 2 seconds after finding out she's got the bangle, and they find a common knowledge that they know who this Aisha person is. But he didn't really do a good job of really vetting her before he takes old girl to the honeycomb hideout, that's masquerading as a restaurant up top.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. They're both too trusting.
They're very too trusting. I do want to say I caught their little tidbits about the food, how things that are just sort of normal every day for them in Pakistan was spicy for her, but like back home, all of her friends are probably like, your food's too spicy, to show that how she considers herself probably Pakistani. And but even there, they're like, you're American, because you are from us, but you're not really us, because you're asking, is food spicy? You don't do that.
He's asking if it's spicy. Yeah, like I said, they're both too trusting. She gets into the hideout really quickly, and we're introduced to this Waleed character, which I guess is the old sage member of the Red Daggers. And he gives us kind of a more trustworthy history of the clandestines, because she had only heard the story from the clandestines themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on to explain, kind of who the clandestines are, and he gives her this idea and this really cool, like 3D animation of these hidden dimensions. I thought that was kind of a callback to Shang-Chi once again, because all these shows and movies and stuff are just kind of tie all this stuff from the MCU together. I don't know if you guys recall in Shang-Chi when they talked about the person in this demon or creature in the other dimension that was locked away, and Shang-Chi's aunt talking about other cities too that were existing within the same space but another dimension. So all this stuff is kind of interconnected. And of course, she knows now that getting them back may destroy their world, that Waleed kind of explains. I'm wondering if part of her is still kind of like wanting to help these people, because that's just kind of how naive and
you're right. There's probably a part of her that still wants to help, but wants to help in a way that to make sure no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
And so I think if she could find a way, or if her friends could find a way to make sure that she could help them without injuring anyone here on Earth, she probably would do it.
Yeah.
She hasn't gotten to the phase where you become untrusting of everyone. She's still very innocent-minded when it comes to what's happened in the world. And I guess it can almost show like, oh, you're a typical American girl who doesn't have any like real worries outside of like your immediate circle. Because we see even when she talks to other people and they try to tell her important things, she falls back onto, so like, what do you think about this? And it's like, are you fully understanding that they were trying to kill you, and that you need to be a little bit more serious about who you trust, because the last group of people you trusted literally tried to kill you to get the bracelet from you. Yeah. Maybe don't run off with the first guy who's like, oh, I'll take you somewhere to tell you some more history.
Yeah.
Because literally the last guy you trusted's mother wanted to kill you. Maybe not. Take a seat. Take several seats.
Yeah, I agree. And I said OMG when I saw the scene when she held up the bracelet and she said, oh, can you read it? Can you read the symbols? Can you tell me what it means? Like, you're presenting this too close to him. Like, you're supposed to protect this thing.
Yeah.
Of your whole life. But I agree. She's naive in this whole mission. But her honesty and trustworthiness may help her in this.
Possibly.
I hope.
At least for the give her the benefit of the doubt, the first one with Kamran, when he shows up in the car, she's an immediate danger in her eyes. So she needed somewhere to go at that point.
Yeah.
When she runs into the Kareem, only problem is him, really. He throws a dagger at her. They immediately start kind of fighting. There's no immediate danger. She's running into his arms out of worry from something else. Like, that's the weirdest part to me. Like, he is the danger initially. Anybody who throws a knife at you in the street and you ain't did nothing to nobody, he's not someone I'm about to just say, hey, let me check out your secret hideout now. That's just me. I don't know.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. I was waiting the entire scene for them to turn on her. Like, I was really waiting for the entire scene for them to just be like, oh, well, now you're here. Now we can steal it from you by force or something.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't get the fact that she was out with them on a beach in the middle of the night, that she went to a secret location, didn't tell anyone. Like, you didn't even send a message back home to your friend and was like, hey, track my phone for like the next hour. Like, if something happens, text my mom immediately. Yeah. Like, there was no foresight into, I know you want information, but it's also that same trope of you want information, so you trust anyone who could give it to you. It's always, we always see characters do it. And when they're in the middle of it, we always scream at them. But at the same time, how do we find out the information unless they do the stupid thing?
True. Interesting though, this was kind of a girls' trip too. They left Abu behind. They left Bruno/Brian behind in New Jersey.
Oh, Bruno! I need him to go to Caltech. I need him to go to Caltech so bad. You get injured, honey. Become the new Iron Man or whatever. Get something to protect yourself.
Yeah. They left them behind as just grandma, moms, and the cousins for Kamala this trip, and her new friends that she then picked up, which sadly enough, one of them at least don't last later. But
I do want to backtrack real quick when you were talking about Shang-Chi. From episode 3, because we see that the 10 rings were on the floor.
Yep, in the flashback scene when they were digging up the bangle.
So it's very interesting to see how the Asian shows are more connected and the American shows are more connected. Because I picked that. I was sort of picking that up because like, oh, that's interesting, because we were all wondering where the rings came from, and as we see more and more of the history of Noor that we saw in this episode, it connected, like you said, right back to Shang-Chi, and it made me think of when we learned that like everyone has their own different like afterlives for Marvel, like all the religions are sort of correct, and I was like, oh, it seems like the more Asian cultures have more similar. They're really keeping true to having them be the connecting dots between them, having them have the more similar history and background when it comes to the legend. So it probably may be obvious, but I just thought that was cool that they're keeping it somewhat connected.
Yeah, it may be, because I think that's what we get a glimpse of in episode 1, where Kamala falls back and you see that purple. That may have been the alternate dimension. It could either be where the Noor is from, or it could have been like we saw in Black Panther with the land where the ancestors were. Or it could connect to all that, or even in what's the last show before this? Moon Knight.
Yes.
Where they kind of cemented that in the MCU. Like, it changes. The afterlife changes depending on the belief of the person who goes. So that could be. Because this one's kind of loosely, in the beginning, they tie it really strongly to Avengers, because that's her fandom is all about Captain Marvel and the Avengers. But then if you go further in, we're seeing more Easter eggs dropped for the later phases of films and shows. So all we need now is something from Madrigal, the Asian city in Falcon Winter Soldier to show up in this. That'd be crazy.
Still think of Encanto when I hear that word.
When you hear Madrigal?
Yep.
Yeah.
The song starts playing in my head.
Well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back and talk about the second half of the episodes where the clandestines escape from a Supermax prison. We'll talk to you in a second. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, and I'm joined by Moneca Pinkett. And we're also joined by Andrea Rose Washington.
What up?
And we are continuing our discussion on Miss Marvel, Episode 4, Seeing Red. And where I dropped off at the first half, I was going to discuss. We see the clandestines escape from a supermax prison. If this isn't a trope, I don't know what is. How many supermax prisons? If everybody just gets out of this thing so easily, how supermax can it be? Because these people don't seem, aside from their weaponry, they don't seem all that super themselves.
And why do you, like, if it took 20 people to take them down, why are you not moving them with 20 people? Why are you only moving them with like 2 or 3 people? Like, you've already seen what they can do. Why not just say, hey, I know this seems like extra and an overabundance of people, but let's just make sure we need 4 people to a person, because it took us so much to take them out. We need 4 people to a person to make sure that they can escape, because like you just said, people keep escaping from a supermax prison.
And separate them. They don't have to all be together.
Keep them all together. Like, no, we're going to plan something.
I will say, I was very, very much confused in that scene with Kamran and his mother and like all of them, because we saw the last episode when Kamran tried to stand up and like stop them from hurting Kamala, because we actually see, I have to admit, I have to admit that I was wrong, that I said Kamran was going to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
His mother was the bad guy. I was half right, but not really fully. I will own up to that. I was incorrect. But to see from that scene of that guy wrecking him, to go from a family dynamic to them joking with him because, oh, yeah, she is adorable, to throwing his butt off of a balcony, to being arrested and helping them escape, to then be left. It was just a horrible dynamic. I felt for Kamran this episode, these last 2 episodes, because she's like, your entire life is sort of being upended, and it's almost like I don't want to say a cult mentality, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like when he tried to do something right, which was wrong in their eyes, it's just, I felt for him. I'm so sorry.
Najma don't care.
Huh?
Najma, his mom, Najma, does not care. Like, you made your choice. So we got to make ours. And she was weird. She just leaves him. And it was funny because the other Jinn that are with them showed concern at first. Like, when he gets knocked out by the little ray gun or whatever, a boy's like, he'll be fine. And then they get ready to leave, and she's like, nah, you stay in. You're not coming with us. He's made his choice. I got to make mine. I'm like, damn, she cold.
And like, why did they even pick? If that was her choice, she should have left him laying in the tunnel. But it was like, again, weird dynamic. They got him out of there and then ditched him. They cared about him. They didn't even really want to leave him, even though you threw him off of a balcony. You still didn't even want to leave him. So it was a very, I'm very conflicted, because I don't know if he's going to stay a good guy, quote unquote, because this could be the whole thing that turns him into being a bad guy. Everyone has a villain origin story. So right now, I will say that I was wrong. At this moment, he is not the villain, and I was incorrect.
And we'll see if he has a heel turn again. Like you said, he may turn in the end. Do y'all think they got like some type of GPS on Kamala?
It's on the bracelet.
Well, no, it can't be on the bracelet, because Najma, when the bracelet has been gone, they haven't been able to find it. That's why she was searching for Aisha.
No, when she used it, because they said that's how they found her in 3 is when she activated the bracelet. So if she's been using it, they may be able to locate her because she did use it in Pakistan. So if she used it at all,
they found the secret hideout really quick. Like, she was practicing getting her little mind.
Was that before or after she had him read the inscription? Before, like, was that right after?
That's right, like immediately after. She's practicing. Practicing with the stuff. She's using her little arms to kind of stretch out and make these really big fists and turn around. He's explaining what it is, and then he reads the Urdu inscription. He said it's never had that before. But yeah, immediately they just jump down from the ceiling like gangbusters and start fighting them.
But yeah, I think it's when she uses the bracelets, they're able to track the energy that it exudes, but not if it's dormant. Because I think she's the first one to use it since her grandmother, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
well, technically, she's the first one. Yeah, she is.
So I think it's only when she uses it they can track it, and if they can't, and if it's not on, or if she's not using it, they can't track it because it's not emitting any energy. Because I was wondering the same thing. I was like, how the heck did they find this girl? Like, and then you jump down, like you didn't even come into the restaurant and look around. Like you knew to go through the glass in the back. How?
Yeah. And Waleed was holding it down. I mean, I don't know. He's like a regular dude, but he's fighting all four of them off. He just got hands, I guess, which becomes something anticlimactic later. But he seemed to be handling them all by himself as he threw the little dagger and shut the door. I don't understand why Kamala and Kareem stayed there.
Run.
Watching the glass get beat in.
Run. He told you to get her out of there. How was watching the glass break in front of you getting her out of there?
That was the funniest part. He's like cracking more and like, I think he's gonna get through. They're just watching him hit it.
Like you could have already been 3 blocks away by the time they got out, but yet you waited and watched. This is not the time to wait and watch your enemy. This is the time to run from your enemy because you are in a city you're unfamiliar with. You're with someone who you can somewhat trust because right now you're on the same side. But who's to say if you're actually allies? Because there's a lot of questions about who they've been fighting in the past. Because who are the other clandestines if it's not been those 4 people? And if you've been fighting them, there's so many questions about that Red Dagger group. You don't really know if you can fully trust them. Run. Pump those little legs.
I wonder if we're going to get some more side story on that because we don't know what they've been doing this entire time because maybe they've been looking for that other bangle because there's supposed to be 2 of them. And that whole time they've just been running around looking for, since it wasn't activated, like you said, if it's not activated, they can't detect it. And then maybe we can get this other one. There's supposed to be 2 of them. And we don't know what they've been doing.
And then who started them? Because I'm very curious about the fact that we still haven't seen her grandmother. As far as we all know that she's dead, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So I'm just so curious that if the granddaughter had the bracelet all this time, did the granddaughter start how did he know what the bangle looked like? Because I don't remember seeing it in any drawings on the show. I went back and watched a couple episodes to see if I saw any of the artwork that she looked through at her grandmother's place. I mean, even the artwork that Bruno was looking through when her father came in and translated some of the stuff about the jinn. So I'm just wondering, how do you guys have all this information? Who started you? Did her grandmother is her grandmother alive? Or did she who started this organization? There's so many questions I have about the Red Daggers right now.
Well, the Red Daggers, you're saying, who started them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. They haven't given us that. They're the keepers of the flame, I guess. They know this information somehow. We're not given any background as to how he knows all this stuff about them. We just know that the clandestines themselves are exiles from another dimension. Basically, they got kicked out and they're forced to live with us here in our world. So yeah, we don't know about the Red. Maybe they'll give us more information, but I don't know how.
5-minute background. That's all I need. We started about this X, Y, and Z, and we do this, and this, and this, and this, and that's all I needed. That's all I needed.
Well, we better hope Kareem knows it then.
But the grandmother is alive, right? It's the great grandmother, or am I confused?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, it's the great grandmother.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, Kamala's great grandmother.
And so we get this weird, but I kind of liked it because we kind of know what's going to happen in the street chase. They do this in a lot of films and TV shows. We have a street chase through a marketplace in a foreign country. Trucks are going to get overturned. Somebody's livestock and business is going to get destroyed. Kamala has her go-to move in a vehicle at one point and goes in reverse first. And backs up.
She
So my
can't
boy,
drive.
at least she's consistent with the vehicles. The action here was pretty cool. You see Waleed holding his own the whole way through the streets. He even does some cool thing where he throws double daggers into the wall across the building, and he's getting his, I guess, Assassin's Creed and Prince of Persia video game parkour on as he jumps from rooftop to rooftop and kills Pootie Tang, and then gets killed himself like immediately. Rip
That
Rip
hurt.
Waleed and Rip Pootie Tang. No more belt. whip belt.
That's why you're calling him that?
Yeah. Because of his weapon. He's got that belt thing. He's whipping people with it.
I was sad to see him go, but it's very interesting to see that Kareem was stuck to the mission and Kamala was the one who was trying to stay behind. Like, we can't leave him. Like, we gotta go. He's dead. There's nothing else we can do for him. I was like, yes, finally, someone voice of reason. If someone goes down, you keep going. Otherwise, you end up like them.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucked, but like he was right. There's nothing more you can do for him. He's dead. Gone. We're alive. We need to keep running to stay that way.
Yeah, and then of course, I don't know. They run into a dead end. They all. And my boy knows the streets. If you know the streets, how do you run into a dead end corridor where you have nowhere else to go?
I will say though, right after they found out that it was a dead end and there was only way in and out, I did like that quick little battle stance they both did. It's like, if we're gonna go down, we're gonna go down fighting.
Yeah.
Not like run and hide. It was like, okay, we're gonna stand and fight. I was like, oh, you go, guys. It was nice. It was a quick, nice 2 little second stance, and then at first I thought no one was gonna come, and I heard someone else was gonna walk through. That's what I really thought it was gonna be, and then you see them come through, and it starts fighting. But I thought it was a really cute little stance. Like,
Yeah, they jump. Finally, the clandestines show up and jump through somebody's laundry. Somebody's gonna be pissed because the laundry was hanging up to dry. It's
clean, beautiful.
They fly their final fight and rip to Adam, I guess is his name. The one that has always got the hammer, the round with the mace with the ball at the end.
The one I thought I was gonna like and end up being
like Adam?
I thought when we first met him, I thought he was gonna be like the fun uncle. I was like, oh yeah, no, I don't like you. You're crazy. I feel like you're enjoying this a little bit too much. I was like, I feel like everyone else is attacking for work. You're attacking because you enjoy attacking her. And I don't know if I like that. Like, that's the vibe I got. Like, you enjoy your work a little too much, which is why I guess other people were annoyed with him.
And people, I didn't get, I don't know if I like them or not. They're different, but they're not that cool. I'm talking about the clandestines in general. Mm-hmm. Like, as a group, they don't seem that powerful. I mean, they look okay, but regular people are just fighting these people off easily. Like I said, Waleed was handling his own. I know he's probably trained and all that. He's supposed to be a guru and been doing his thing for a long time. But for one person, I don't think they didn't hint at him being powered. They don't necessarily hint at Kareem the Red Dagger being powered, but he's also able to fight them as well. He's younger. If you're going to be a Jinn / genie or however the mythology is supposed to go, I would think they'd have more powers than just these really kind of extravagant weapons they can pull from out of thin air.
Yeah, I wish there was more backstory. I think maybe in the first or second episode they showed where the bracelet was found. And they showed these characters, but there wasn't a lot of other information about the characters and what each one brings to the group. Besides when they started to fight in the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, what's Najma's power? You see, I forgive the black lady. I'm sorry, I forget her name. She's a spear. She has a spear. Adam has the big mace with the ball at the end of the stick. I forget the other brother's name. Pootie Tang's got the belt knife thing. So I mean, This Kamran had some little, there weren't nunchucks, but there's some stringed weapon that he whipped out at the wedding when he started fighting Pootie Tang. So they each have little weapons, but I don't. Do you see any of them use like a particular power?
So that was the thing I was wondering about too, because was it ever stated that they had power or that they could just use the bangle and then have power? Because we know that she said that they can last that long because of where they're from, and they can still feel that. But I don't know if it was ever explained, because I was wondering the same thing. Like, I don't know if it was ever explained if they had power outside of having a source to use it from, like from the bangle.
They have the Nur, just like Kamala does, but because they're not from this plane of existence, they can't touch it. So they need to find something similar to Kamala's bangle that activates it with them. So once they have whatever it is that activates it, because remember when Kamala asked Najima, would you like my bangle? And then she explained to her that, well, that bangle is what allows you to activate the Nur within you. Perhaps Kamran, we can find something that will do that for him. So maybe it's that they don't have whatever this element or artifact is that will activate it for them. Because right now it just seems like the only thing that's kind of special about them is when they're able to like manifest these weapons. I don't see them really. I think Adam had it on a like a charm on a necklace that turned into when they go into the wedding, when they go into the kitchen area to start fighting, you see like a charm elongate, and then the ball like appears at the end of it, and all of a sudden he's got this big mace. And he starts swinging it around after he punched.
Oh, that's true, because the guy took off his belt and then became like the whip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I really wish that I was here to talk about when the chef said, no. Oh, no, we're
absolutely.
not doing that.
She goes, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not doing this. I had a pause and I laughed so hard on that scene. But yeah, that's true. So I guess also it made me wonder why they didn't just take the bangle from her and give it to Kamran, because instead of trying to find something for him, if you were always going to use it and not care who you killed, why not use your son?
Yeah, I don't think he can use it though. That's the whole reason why they need someone that's connected to it to use it. So the great grandmother could use it, but she couldn't fully use it.
That's true.
Kamala, because she's from this dimension, can use it to its fullest, and it opens up the availability of the Nur to her. But I don't think it's that simple of just taking it and using it themselves. Otherwise, they would have done that. And if that was the case, they would have done it when they initially got the thing. They just went back home.
Oh no, I meant Kamran, not them. Sorry, and like just the son when they finally had it. It's a very interesting. So like I noticed that these episodes are only 30 minutes, and I was wondering why I was getting through them so quickly. I need this to be an hour because I feel like there's an hour worth of information in each episode that they could take some more time and explain a little bit more backstory, because like there's a lot of questions that, again, if we had read the comics, we probably would know a lot of the backstory. But for people who didn't read the comics, the answer is no.
No, because they've strayed a lot. If they had stuck to it, yeah. But I think they've strayed a lot with Kamala's origins, because I think she's a descendant of the Inhumans in the comics, which is why she has the stretchy ability. So they changed it to this Nur thing, connected her to the Jinn, and made it that she's using hard light through the powers connected through the bangle. So it's veered quite a bit from the comic order. I didn't read all the comics, but I have watched a lot of videos and stuff on it where they go through the actual comic origins and the differences between one or the other. And I think they were trying to stay away from Dr. Reed from the Fantastic Four, because you've already got a hero that's really stretchy.
Mm-hmm.
And the application, the execution of it on a live action TV show might be something that's seen as too silly or whimsical to be pulled off. But, who knows? The technology gets better. They should be able to be, have it and not make it too silly and have it look good. But that may up the budget, probably, that they didn't want to spend. I don't know. They got the money.
It seems like they're spending. Yeah, it seems like they're spending a lot of good money on locations, on graphics, on, just because I think they actually filmed there, or maybe I'm misremembering information about certain episodes. I think they, or I might be remembering something from Moon Knight. But yeah, they have the money. This is Marvel. They have the money. Yeah. And this is one of their most entertaining shows from the jump, in my opinion. It's a lot different because it is following a teen girl and it has a lot of teen problems in it, but it is very much more enjoyable culturally for me as well. So I think they should have spent the money on it to give us some more backstory. We need an extra 20 minutes per episode, please. That's all I'm asking. 20 minutes per episode.
Maybe we'll get that in the finale. What are you about to say, Moneca?
I'm just still puzzled why they didn't take the bracelet from her when she was in the car with them. I'm still puzzled by that. When she hopped into the car and to save the day, yes, they could have, even if they did not know exactly how to use the bracelet, at least garner that power, because they know it's a rare commodity. It's hard to find, so it's one of two. So just capture it and figure it out how to use it. I just feel like they had a big opportunity that they missed. I don't know why they didn't. And now for the rest of the season, it seems like they're chasing after her.
Well, if Najima knows it's potentially dangerous, because that's, she's like, why wouldn't it be? I think they were trying to do it the nice way at first. Be like, we're trying to manipulate her into opening up this door into the other dimension, and she'll just do it for us and take all the risk, not knowing, she's young, naive, not knowing she's taking this risk, and open this portal. We'll go back to our world, whatever happens here. Sorry about it, but we need to go home. I think that was probably the initial, and then when she realized, number one, Kamran, because remember she had Kamran's phone when he texted her to warn her. And he was like, yeah, I was going to tell you. After that, she was like, well, yeah, now I got to just take it. We're not asking anymore. So I think that was part of the reason why they didn't take it initially, because they were trying to figure out a way to peaceably do it, at least on one end.
Because there's so many. So I think we only have 2 more episodes left in this series. There's only 6 episodes in this season.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that. Why is 6 the new magic number for episodes of these shows?
I don't know, because I need more for this one. Especially since it's only 30 minutes, I feel like we definitely deserve more than 6 episodes. I don't know how they're going to wrap this up. And granted, it's Marvel, so there's no rhyme or reason why they would wrap it up in a bow, because they like leaving cliffhangers to make you come back. But I just don't know how they're going to explain away this part in 2 more episodes, because I feel like there's a lot still to be explained and to be understood in the initial awakening of her power. There's so many loose ends, and I don't want a montage of her going to her family and friends and asking for forgiveness, and going to her brother and explaining. I don't want a montage of that. I want this realistically, her mom telling her family, she saved us. I want something a little bit more realistic, and I just don't see that happening in 2 episodes, because with the way this episode ended, nothing really is resolved. So
we'll see, because now at the end of that fight scene, Najima stabs the Bengal with the knife and throws Kamala seemingly back in time to try and catch that last train during the partition in 1942 India, after the Britain left and there was strife between what became India and Pakistan. So I guess we're going back to 1940 the next episode, 1942. See what happens.
And I have so many questions, and I want to know, is she actually there, or is she just seeing the full vision for once? What is it? Do I get my hopes up? Are we going to see the grandmother? Are we not going to see the grandmother? Does anything that she does affect the future, or is she just seeing a memory? Because it feels like she's physically there, but yeah, there's so many questions. Because how is she physically there from just stabbing the Bengal? I don't.
Well,
she still needs to make it back to New York because we got to see what's going on with they're not gonna leave homeboy, can't think of
Brian.
his name. No,
Bruno.
not Bruno. Kamran. We're not. I know this isn't the last that we see of him.
Yeah.
I want some type of closure with her brother because I loved that whole wedding scene. And the actor posted a photo saying, "I invited my wife to my wedding."
To my wedding, yeah.
That was so cute.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
We'll see if she's back there. I think she is, and if so, my question is going to be, why doesn't she remember? If she influences what happened between her grandmother finding her way back, Trail of Stars, the story we found out about the partition, why she doesn't in some way or fashion remember it happening if she ends up being the one, because it's kind of a time travel paradox that we're going to be given. We'll see.
I also want to mention that I really like the reconnection between Kamala's mom and her grandmother in subtle sort of ways. Her grandmother was missing her and left the newspapers out for her return and toffee and different things like that. And to her surprise, Kamala's mom's interested in bringing Kamala's grandmother over to America. So they haven't spoken in a long time, and now they're reunited, and that's, I don't know, that warms my soul, especially because I've been there where like there's a distance with a relative and then you're able to reunite. That's so sweet. And then there was also a little tension when they were reunited after the plane, in which there was a little criticism, and that happens too with mother-daughter scenes. And so they're coming back around together. And Kamala and her mother was able to share some toffee. So it's something that's being passed down to 2 generations.
Yeah.
Just that end.
Man, yeah, that was nice. Thank you guys. Thank you both for taking time out of your day to talk with us. The 2 or 3 people that caught the live, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch us and listen. I'll be uploading the audio from this talk to the Askari Cast podcast on Anchor, iTunes, Google, and other places where podcasts are streamed from. And don't forget to check out Trek and Beyond. And ironically, we have both Andrea and Moneca Pinkett here from Trek and Beyond,
a Star Trek podcast. Discover Discovery with us.
There you go. You can catch them on Anchor and all the other places too. And we will talk to you next week.